Hey everybody, this is Information Specialist Eric Stoker, and welcome to our January Self-Advocate Spotlight. And today I'm interviewing my good friend, Andrew Riggle, and he's going to tell us a little about himself. Thanks for coming, Andrew.
Oh, thanks for inviting me, Eric. It's great to be here.
You're welcome. So my first question is, tell us a little bit about yourself.
I grew up here in Utah. I graduated from Hillcrest, and then I went away for 10 years for college, and then I have been back for almost 17 or 18 years.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So how did you start your self-advocacy journey?
Well, it was interesting because when I was in school and in college, I really didn't want to be identified as somebody with a disability. So I didn't hang out a lot with other students with disabilities. But when I went to Seattle and went to graduate school, there was a group of high school students with disabilities there that I was able to be a mentor for, and they got me thinking about being a high school counselor because I wanted to work. I wanted to work with all students, but I also wanted to be a mentor and a resource for students with disabilities. And then when after I finished my as I was finishing my master's degree for that, and looking for a job, I realized that there aren't many high school counseling jobs, and those that there are, the people that have them like them and want to keep them. So while I tried to find a job, I started volunteering for an organization that did healthcare and low income advocacy, and then and through that I met the former executive director of the Disability Law Center, and a couple months after that she invited me to come over and work with them, and that was almost 16 years ago now.
Wow, that's impressive. Tell us what you do at the Disability Law Center.
At the Disability Law Center, I do two things now. My main job is as the public policy advocate, or as everybody in the real world knows it, the lobbyist. And I tell people that my job is trying to convince policymakers to do things that they have absolutely no interest in doing. But it means that that I work with state legislators, members of our congressional delegation, and also city leaders like the mayor and council members. But also spend a lot of time working with individuals in different departments, like the Department of Health and Department of Human Services, and working on things like departmental policies or administrative rules, all with the idea of trying to make sure that Utahns with disabilities have the supports and services they need to be as independent and productive as they possibly can be.
That's really interesting. So So you answered part of my third question, but how do you advocate for people with disabilities and their families up on Capitol Hill?
I think there are two main ways that we do it. One is providing information to policymakers, and that can look like and that can look like, here's information on how other states are dealing with this issue, and maybe there's some things that we want to look at that we can learn from them, and then looking at numbers here, and comparing what we're doing now to what we could be doing. How much is something going to cost, or how much is something going to save? Because policymakers always say they're interested in numbers and how much something is going to cost, or how many people are going to benefit from a policy change. So we try to provide them with information like that. But they also very often say that they want to hear from individuals and families directly impacted by the policy decisions and choices that we make. So we also try our best to work with other community organizations and partners to identify people that can come up and share their stories, with their story or their family's story, with their elected representatives, so that the representatives can see this is the positive difference that making this decision or choice will make in the lives of this family and also of other Utahns with disabilities.
I like it though. With the legislative session coming up, like we talked about earlier, is there anything you want people with disabilities and their families to be aware of?
Absolutely. There is likely to be a proposal to create what people are calling a limited service waiver that will hopefully help provide basic supports and services to more individuals and families on the waiting list. Things like respite care, things like supported employment, additional supports for families, so that families don't find themselves in crisis as quickly. So there's likely to be a proposal there. There's going to be a pretty significant bills to address the need for community-based mental health services, and try to fill in some of the gaps in that system as well.
So there's a lot of things that people with disabilities have to advocate for on Capitol Hill, it sounds like, for this year.
Absolutely.
Oh man.
That's true.
So is there anything you'd like people to know about you?
I like to refer to my favorite season as summer concert season.
Oh.
Because I'm a big music fan, and I like free summer concerts, because it combines my two favorite things, music and the sun. If I weren't so busy with the legislative session this time of year, I would be volunteering for the Sundance Film Festival, because I'm a huge movie nerd.
Have you seen any good movies lately?
I don't know that I've seen anything that comes to mind right now, but My list is really, really long for the holiday break, and I plan to do a lot of catching up.
So do you think you're going to see the new Star Wars movie?
I am not a Star Wars person. I am more of a Star Trek person. All of the Star Wars I know comes from Spaceballs.
I think I saw that. I think I saw the movie, but I'm not sure.
Oh, it's great. If you haven't seen it, you should. It's really, really funny.
Well, Andrew, thank you so much for coming to the interview today. I really appreciate it.
Oh, it was my pleasure, Eric. Thank you so much for having me again.
Thank you. And for the viewers at home, if you know anybody that would like to be on our Self-Advocate Spotlight, please feel free to email me. My email address is estoker@utah.gov, and we'll get them on the next show. So, thanks for watching.